What up, my name is Whelsko, and this is the review for Mafia 3. The atmosphere in Mafia 3 is beast. It's pretty nice to see. They've done a terrific job of recreating the city of New Orleans, located in Louisiana, to capture the city in its time period, and that's a very important part. The game plays itself in 1968, and thus they try to recreate that feeling of how it was back in the days. It was a southern state, racism and segregation laws, things like that still were in the, how shall I say it, in normal lives. And that's something they do not shy away from, which is a very, very good point, and create a very original, like it truly was. On top of that, each district in the city has its own unique ways, its own unique buildings, its own unique... You really feel that it's a different part of the city, whether it's a more poor neighborhood or a richer neighborhood. It all feels real, and it feels still connected, not that they are that different or that separated from each other. It still feels very, very real, and every single district is unique, does its own thing. It's quite nice to see. And they did a pretty good job at it. Also, the music in that game is... that is so beast.
I fell for you like a child. Oh, but the fire went wild.
All the classic hits of that year, or, somewhere around that period. And it makes so much more beautiful. Sometimes you're just doing casual things, or you're having a story mode, and that perfect tune for the perfect setting clips in, and you have a wonderful, wonderful feast for the ears. It's all the classics, and you really have the feeling that you're in that time period. We follow the story of a man named Lincoln Clay, who is on the path of revenge. How this exactly came to be, you need to find out yourself without spoiling, but he came right from Nam, and he wanted to change his life, but he got set on a path for revenge. How that all happened is up to you, but I can assure you, the story is amazing. The story is deep, it has interesting characters, although the NPCs in the game are pretty shitty when it comes to combat. Other than combat, they're pretty deep. They go deep, not wide. It's not all for show. There's actually something behind most of the characters. And that's something I really, really want in a fucking game, where you don't have a fucking plastic Barbie face, but something you want to get to know somebody who can evolve, who changes himself, and that's something what Mafia 3 does very well. There are enough cutscenes in the game to keep you focused, although I must say I had some few weird glitches whenever Lincoln Clay was just in a normal conversation, so in a not pre-recorded thing, and that kind of fucked the setting for me a little bit, but it was not game breaking, I could still follow. And that's something I also need to say about this game. It's a lovely game. It's a truly, truly lovely game. But it has some technical difficulties, and that's what makes it kinda hard to play it sometimes. But it's not big technical difficulties, at least not on my part. More so, one time the world was not loading in. Other time, textures missing, and of course, the in-game. I only had 2 crashes at the same time, at the same place, but it's probably because it has a rough start and it's a PC port, so that's unfortunately, but by the time you're watching this, the game will be out for long enough that they've done something about it. The gameplay of Mafia 3 is a little bit the same of what we see a lot these days. It's a standard stealth third-person shooter, whereby you just either go stealth option or you shoot people in the face. Very simple. It works pretty well. The cover system is also pretty good. I had only 1 or 2 instances where I was basically not, where it didn't do what I wanted it to do. other than that, it gets kinda repetitive when you get to the end of the game. The side missions do not really add up or give something unique to it. The side missions are more basic fetch missions. It's literally copy-paste fetch missions 5 times over. They get pretty boring. Other than that, the gameplay stays kinda the same until the end. Not much changed, unless you unlock some different weapons or that type. That's the only variation you will get. And since the AI has something over their heads or something in front of their eyes, I don't know what they do sometimes, but they still do it. They just act weird sometimes, and it can break a little bit of the gameplay. However, it's still pretty fun. The only thing I really wanted more of were the brutal takedowns, as they were simply too little. They were super nice and gave an amazing feeling to do, but there were only 3 or 4 for each gun. Or gun type, excuse me. In conclusion, Mafia 3 is a wonderful game that does a lot of things right, and unfortunately not everything. It cuts some features out from previous Mafia game I'm sure some fans of will be pissed, like fuel and traffic laws and clothing, although clothing is coming back, so I'm judging a little bit too harshly, but despite its flaws, the game has some potential, and it's a good game. It's not perfect, it's not the greatest, it's not the best, it's a good game, it's an amazing story, especially if you're a fan of those, like me. The story is worth checking out alone. For the full price, might not be. There are some pros, some cons. If you're really a fan of it, do it. I would say, wait until this game is on sale and then buy it. It's definitely worth when you buy it on sale. Whelsko signing off.